Hey guys, what's up? It's Arjun. So, we'll be discussing Polysporin today. You know Polysporin, the end all be all, the fix it all, put it on there, it'll heal. What is it? What's in it? What does it do? Let's get into it. What's Polysporin? Polysporin is an antibacterial topical ointment. That means you apply it onto the skin. Polysporin is used to treat mild cuts, scrapes, and burns only. Polysporin helps prevent bacterial infections because it is in the antibiotic class. Antibiotics prevent infection by killing off bacteria or preventing the further growth of that bacteria and allowing it to die off. The antibiotics inside of Polysporin start at bacitracin, polymyxin B, and gramicidin. And you can see the doses right up here. I'm gonna put the doses, just a little picture right there. That's how many is per gram of Polysporin. And the last but definitely not least ingredient is lidocaine. Lidocaine is also known as a local anesthetic. Lidocaine is a numbing medication which is used topically usually and can prevent itching or pain. Lidocaine is also injected as a local anesthetic during invasive procedures and used in the same context to prevent pain. The first antibiotic is called bacitracin. Bacitracin stops infections by stopping the proliferation specifically of gram-positive bacteria. Now, what's a gram-positive bacteria? Gram-positive bacteria have a cell wall just as gram-negative, but they have a peptidoglycan layer which is much thicker than the gram-negative. Gram-positive bacteria also do not have an outer membrane as gram-negative bacteria do. You can see a little schematic right here also of the comparison between gram-negative and gram-positive bacterial cell walls to kind of give you an image of what kind of bacteria we're dealing with and how this specific antibiotic deals with it. So generally, gram-positive bacteria are easier to deal with only because they don't have an outer membrane, and the outer membrane usually provides a protective feature. That protective feature can have different types of peptides anchored to it, or usually in the form of lipopolysaccharides. Bacitracin enters the cell wall of gram-positive bacteria and prevents the synthesis of more peptidoglycan. If you recall, the main component of the cell wall of gram-positive bacteria is in fact peptidoglycan. So how does this work? Bacitracin stops the dephosphorylation, or also known as activation, of C55 pyrophosphate. C55 pyrophosphate usually sends over the constituents of the peptidoglycan layer for them to be assembled. Without this being active, none of the building blocks are present for peptidoglycan synthesis. Therefore, the cell wall will break down, usually it becomes leaky, and all the constituents of the cell will leak out. The second antibiotic is called polymyxin B. So you might be able to tell what kind of bacteria it protects against. We already have something that protects against gram-positive, so polymyxin B protects against gram-negative bacteria. Gram-negative bacteria, as we said earlier, have an outer membrane just outside of their thin, very thin peptidoglycan layer. This outer membrane has things linked to it, which in this case usually are LPS, also known as lipopolysaccharides. Now, what is a lipopolysaccharide? Lipopolysaccharides are O antigens attached to polysaccharides, also attached to fatty acid chains. Here's a picture of that right there. It's attached to gram-negative bacteria. Polymyxin alters the permeability of the outer membrane. Polymyxin binds to a negatively charged site on the LPS, aka lipopolysaccharide layer. This results in a leaky membrane and also alters membrane potentials.
Membrane potentials are the coolest thing ever. I cannot wait to explain this in a further video. Just wait for your mind to be blown.
And this means cell constituents leak out of the leaky membrane and the cells are no longer able to perform functions normally required for life, such as respiration. Lastly, we have gramicidin. Gramicidin is a mix of 6 different peptides, also known as gramicidin A, gramicidin B, gramicidin C. Each of these have 2 isoforms in that, making a total of 6. Gramicidin is the last line of defense for polysporin. This is because it mainly affects gram-positive bacteria, but it also does affect gram-negative bacteria. Grammacidins belong to a class of molecules called ionophores. What are ionophores? Ionophores are molecules which bind to ions. So what does gramicidin do? Gramicidin binds and creates ion channels in the membranes of the cell. This allows ions to freely move in and out of the cell, which would usually end up in sodium and potassium leaving the cell. This also disrupts concentration gradients and membrane potentials, which again, we'll get into later. So, you might be asking, what does polisporin really do? Out of all the things I've said, polisporin does a lot. What makes it so cool is that polisporin is just an over-the-counter ointment that anybody can purchase. It kind of gets you wondering, what do all the other prescription ointments and or drugs do to your body? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Subscribe to my channel to see what I learn next.